Is this the end of TikTok as we know it? The United States is moving aggressively to take control of one of the world's most influential apps, sparking a digital showdown that could reshape the internet forever. Welcome to TVAI. Tonight, we uncover a story that sits at the crossroads of technology, geopolitics, and national security. A story that involves Washington power brokers, Silicon Valley titans, and a generation hooked on short-form videos. The United States government is preparing for what could be one of the most controversial tech acquisitions in history: a forced sale of TikTok. Is this about national security, political posturing, or simply control over the future of information? Let's dive deep. TikTok, owned by the Chinese tech company ByteDance, has exploded in popularity worldwide, with over 150 million active users in the US alone. But beneath the viral dances and comedy clips lies a geopolitical dilemma. Since 2020, US lawmakers have accused TikTok of posing a national security risk, claiming the app could be used by the Chinese government to gather data on American citizens or even spread propaganda. While no conclusive evidence of misuse has been made public, the concern is growing in both Republican and Democratic circles. As of early April 2025, the US government, under pressure from a bipartisan congressional coalition, has intensified its push for ByteDance to divest TikTok. Vice President J.D. Vance confirmed that discussions are underway with 4 different entities who are interested in acquiring TikTok's US operations. He described the negotiations as high stakes, with April 5th marked as a potential decision day. Though the identities of the potential buyers remain undisclosed, sources close to the matter hint at involvement from major private equity firms, tech conglomerates, and coalitions of former intelligence officials turned investors. This isn't a typical acquisition. It's a forced takeover wrapped in legislation. Lawmakers are invoking powers under the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFI-US, to pressure ByteDance to either sell or face a nationwide ban. The move has sparked intense debate. Supporters argue that TikTok's parent company has direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party, and thus poses a serious risk. Senator Marco Rubio stated, "It's not about entertainment. It's about control. It's about influence. If TikTok can influence the minds of American youth, then it's a strategic weapon." However, critics see the forced acquisition as digital xenophobia, a thinly veiled attempt to suppress competition under the guise of national security. Some argue this sets a dangerous precedent. Should the government have the power to force the sale of a foreign app just because it's popular? Silicon Valley is watching nervously. Tech leaders worry this could open the door to future government meddling in business operations. Others see opportunity. A successful US-based acquisition of TikTok would instantly create a digital empire, combining massive user data, AI algorithms, and monetization channels. Whoever takes over TikTok could become the next social media superpower. But there's a catch. The platform's value is tied directly to its algorithm, which ByteDance may not be willing, or legally allowed, to sell. Would a US-owned TikTok without the core algorithm still be TikTok? Or would it become a hollow shell? Beijing isn't taking this lightly. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued a stern warning, stating that any forced sale would be a violation of international business norms and could lead to retaliatory actions. China also updated its technology export control rules, potentially blocking ByteDance from transferring the core algorithm or user data abroad. In other words, even if the US forces a sale, the new owner might end up with the brand, but not the brain. ByteDance has signaled it will challenge the forced divestment in US courts, arguing that such a move violates constitutional rights, including free speech and due process. Legal experts say the case could reach the Supreme Court and set a landmark precedent for the intersection of tech, national security, and corporate sovereignty. Meanwhile, TikTok itself has launched a massive PR campaign, urging users to contact their representatives and defend their favorite app. The platform now sits at the center of a storm, used by teens and creators, targeted by politicians, and eyed by billion-dollar investors. As April 5th approaches, the world watches with bated breath. Will the United States successfully wrest control of TikTok? Or will the legal and geopolitical backlash prove too costly? Is this a genuine move to protect national security, or a power play cloaked in patriotism? One thing's for certain: what happens next will shape the future of the internet. Let us know in the comments. Should TikTok be banned or bought? And if sold, who should own the algorithm behind one of the world's most powerful platforms? This is TVAI. See you in the next broadcast. But while the focus remains on TikTok, the broader implications stretch far beyond a single app. This case has opened up a global conversation about digital sovereignty. Who owns the data, who controls the algorithms, and who decides what content gets seen or censored? For decades, the internet has been hailed as a borderless space, a place where ideas flowed freely and innovation thrived across national lines. But the last few years have marked a decisive shift. Nations are now carving up cyberspace into digital spheres of influence, and TikTok may just be the first domino in a larger game. India was the first major country to outright ban TikTok, citing national security in 2020. Since then, other countries like Canada, the UK, and several European Union members have considered or implemented partial restrictions. The US move to force a sale is just the boldest yet. If this trend continues, we may be witnessing the fragmentation of the global internet, what some experts call the splinternet. In a splinternet world, users in America, China, Russia, and Europe would all access different versions of the web, governed by different rules, algorithms, and state-approved platforms. It's not just TikTok that's under the microscope. US lawmakers are also targeting other Chinese apps like WeChat, CapCut, and Temu. Meanwhile, Chinese regulators are cracking down on American tech companies operating in their territory. This digital arms race is about more than apps. It's about narrative control, economic dominance, and psychological influence. What happens when an algorithm decides what millions of Americans see on their screens each day? Who gets to shape that algorithm? And more importantly, can any government truly control what people see without crossing the line into censorship? The Biden administration, though cautious, has remained supportive of the divestment effort. But political observers note that this issue could become a key flashpoint in the 2024 presidential election, especially as candidates seek to out-tough each other on China. Donald Trump, during his presidency, tried to force a similar sale of TikTok to Oracle and Walmart, which ultimately fell apart under legal and diplomatic pressure. The current administration is determined not to repeat that failure, even if it means provoking a legal showdown or diplomatic backlash. This is TVAI, where information meets intelligence. See you in the next report.